Alright, so let's now look at what it means by having angles of more than one complete rotation. So let's turn your attention over to my unit circle demonstration on the screen over here. But so the idea now is that an angle you have learned in other video lessons is that an angle is simply being created by rotating a point on the unit circle, either one complete cycle counterclockwise, or doesn't have to be complete cycle for now, but rotating the angle either counterclockwise to create a positive angle, or rotating your point clockwise to create an angle in a negative direction. But now the idea now is that, let's say you're starting out having an angle right here, and that angle is intended to be the 30 degrees angle. So now, from where that angle being 30 degrees, now in a positive direction of the rotation, I'm going to purposely continue, and you can see that I'm still leaving that original angle here, the original 30 degrees angle here, but I would like to demonstrate the fact that the terminal points can keep traveling along the unit circle in the counterclockwise direction, and then as it hits the complete rotation here, and it's going to now go beyond 360 degrees, and now it's going to be, let's say at this point now, since after it made one complete cycle, starting at the starting point here, after it made one complete cycle on a unit circle, it's reached 360. And now when it hits to that point again, then that angle there, and so now let's turn back to my paper here, and it has the picture of the unit circle getting ready for us. But so remind yourself that one complete rotation or one cycle, one rotation equals 360 degrees, or equals a 2 pi in radians. So this is degrees, this is radian, and right now currently to explain the concept I'm looking at the degrees convention right here. But so after looking at the demonstration on the screen right there, then what you see is if this terminal point continue to travel further and it hits to one complete rotation right here and continue to turn another 30 degrees additionally, then this angle here, we actually land into the same terminal point again after completing one cycle. So this new angle here is the same as one complete cycle 360 degrees, but we plus with another additional 30 degrees in the opposite direction. And so this is going to give me an angle of being, and that's what it meant by being an angle more than one complete rotation. So this is an angle of being positive 390 degrees. Similarly, back on my demonstration of the unit circle on the picture here, think about your point at starting point has gone maybe some negative angle, and go additionally one more complete rotation from where that original negative angle was. Then in that case, let's look over to my screen over here, to my papers over here. From where your starting point is, here's some negative angle. Let's say negative minus 30 degrees, going in a counterclockwise, going in a clockwise direction. And then from where that original angle is, we're going to go one more complete cycle from that. So currently being negative 30 degrees, but we're going to go another clockwise, so it's going to be another minus 360 degrees there. And that gives me an angle being negative 390. And so now, once we can start looking at those angles being more than one complete rotation, then the same point here, we can go another, so from where negative 390, we can go another complete cycles again. So we can go as many times looping around the cycle as we want. And so another negative 360 degrees added on top of, additionally added more negatives into that. And so that gives me an angle of 750. So, or similarly, right here, you have the angle 30 degrees within one complete rotation. Or it's the same as, and my equal signs here, to clarify, equal signs really mean they are just angle of the same point, but they're not really the same angle. I mean, they're the same angle, but not necessarily the same measurements amount. But they're indicating that they land into the same terminal point. So the 30 degrees angle is also the same as the 390 degrees angle, and also the same as if we go from there being 390, I'm going to go one more complete cycle. Added to that, it's going to be 750 degrees. And then we can keep adding more and more complete rotations after 750. So what about in radians? So now looking in terms of radians, then keep in mind, if we're looking in terms of radians, then one cycle or one rotation equals a 2 pi rotation. So one complete rotation is a 2 pi. And so let's say originally we're looking at this angle being the pi over 6 angle. But then after that angle right here, we can continue, and currently I'm using the positive angle, meaning the rotation was made from a positive counterclockwise direction. And so this angle now, once you started at being pi over 6, we can continue to go one complete cycle along the unit circle and go past that stop point and go further. And so here we're looking at a pi over 6 plus another additional 2 pi, one complete cycle. And that gives me, that lands into, we're going to run into a value being, and making the common denominator, it's going to be a 13 pi over 6. And so now I'm saying that 13 pi over 6 and pi over 6, they are same angle in terms of terminal points, but they are different measurements. And then, so just like that, similar to when we were working with degrees, then the same point here, being pi over 6 or being 13 pi over 6 measurement, we can continue to make more rotations in a counterclockwise direction, and that produces, so another, let's say for example a 13 pi over 6 and add it with another additional 2 pi, and that is giving me a 25 pi over 6. And then similarly again, a little bit in terms of the negative directions. This angle in radians, negative pi over 6. And then from where that is, we're going to go additionally another clockwise rotations to hit that same terminal point again. Then that same terminal point now is going to be negative pi over 6, but we're going to go another additional 2 pi. And so that's making it a negative, really negative 13 pi over 6. And then we can continue to make another additional, so from where negative 13 pi over 6 is, we're going to make another minus 2 pi. So the minus 2 pi right here is indicating a rotation that's going in the negative, a complete rotation that's going in the negative direction. And so that gives me, so the same angle initially we've learned from other videos being negative pi over 6, now going beyond one complete rotation in the same direction, negative 13 pi over 6. And additionally, and furthermore, we can go to negative 25 pi over 6. Same point, same terminal point. Okay, then so now we have seen and start accepting that idea that angle can extend a lot more than just one complete cycle. And then so say 30 degrees angle is one angle, measurement being 30, but then the 390 degrees angle is also the same terminal point, and then the 750 is also the same terminal point. It's just simply a matter of how many times we're looping around. So generally, so in the end, what we realize is that all of these angles, they all land into, and I did use that term earlier, they all land into the same terminal point. And so for that reason, all of these angles, and even many more, and many of those other angles being produced by keep making complete rotations after that, these are we refer to as, these are all the coterminal angles. Because they, you see the term coterminal right there, and with that prefix co, it means they all stay at the same, they all share the same terminal point. And those are angles that share the same terminal point. And so a conclusion can be made now is that as far as the coterminal angles, this is a general regulation here about the coterminal angles. So let's say for any, I'm going to call theta here is to be the angle that's within, theta is being within one rotation. Then you can make a theta plus 360s to indicate the same angle, but they are one complete rotation additional. And then we can have a theta plus 2 rotations. So measurements wise, it's 2 times 360. And then we can make another theta plus 3 times of the complete cycle, and etc. and etc. Or in radians, we can go theta is the original angle being one within one complete rotation from 0, between 0 and 2 pi. Then a coterminal, another coterminal of that is a theta plus 2 pi in radians. And then we can have a theta plus 2 times of 2 pi. Because keep in mind, I purposely want to display that 2 pi is counted as one complete cycle. So here, this is starting to be a multiple of a multiple of 2 of a complete cycle. And then continuing from there, we can have a theta plus 3 times of a 2 pi, and etc. etc. So that's how coterminal angles are being related. And these are, I briefly mentioned about those in the negative, in the positive directions. And likewise, if your angle is being negative, so yes, still within one rotation, but this time additionally this is being negative. Then from where in the negative direction, then you can produce another coterminal angle from this angle here by being a theta but minus a 2 pi away. And then from where that is, we can go a theta minus 2 times of 2 pi, and you can go from where that is again. Additionally, we can make another theta minus 3 times of the 2 pi. And of course, in degrees, same idea again. Theta from where that was originally within one rotation, but being a negative angle. And we go theta minus 360, and theta minus 2 times of the 360, and then theta minus 3 times of the 360, and so on and so on. And so, in general, really, coterminal angles can just simply have one relationship. All you need is just starting with any original angle being in, this is within one rotation. Either you can call it from 0 to 360 or between 0 and 2 pi. All we have to do is, from where that angle is, we are going to either add or subtract some multiple k of a complete rotation. So in radians, this is expressed as a k times 2 pi. So that's one way to generally express any angle on a unit circle and their coterminal angles. Or in degrees convention, once again, within one rotation, we have some original angle, and then all of those other coterminal angles in degrees are just simply a matter of either adding or subtracting some multiple of 360 degrees.